Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. If you have a hat, please remove. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to everyone for our regularly scheduled school board meeting. And the first order of business, I'd like to hear a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes. And we're going to move right on to public comment. And the first is Rand. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Good to be here. Give me one moment while I set my timer, because if I don't do this, I might violate protocol.
That's right. Thank you for doing that.
And there that is. Okay, I should have done that at the beginning. Good evening. My name is Rand Rosecrans. I have the privilege and sacred honor to be a teacher in the Lake Ponderay School District. For those of you that may think that that might seem a little melodramatic, please consider this. In the event of a fire, we look around and what is the first thing that we do? Where are the children? Where are our children? Where is that which is very most precious and dear to us? And I consider it an honor to be entrusted with the well-being of children on a daily basis. I consider it a privilege. I stand before you with a heart of gratitude. I must say that also being entrusted with their well-being, I'm entrusted to create an environment in which they are safe, and that they know that they are loved, and that they know that there is an appropriate, proper place that they can be to help them grow. I compare with nothing taken away from the first responders. Teachers are daily responders. We're responding every day to those things. And I'm so happy to be able to be in that place. I have some thanks that I need to give out, and more than anything else, I need to say some thank yous. Through the pandemic, through what we've experienced, through everything, we've had people in this wonderful community support us, see what we're doing, and help us. I speak specifically to the outdoor learning space project that we started, which has become much, much more. It has become a touchstone and a lifeline for us. When I need to get those kids outside, we've got a space out there and we're outside working. So, I want to thank PAVE, especially, because they started this. They gave us the initial grant. They got things going. I want to thank the Rotary Club, who also supported us. I need to thank Cedars of Idaho, which is now out of business. But they saw the other people supporting us, and when they went out of business, they had a whole bunch of inventory. Guess where they ended up? In our outdoor learning space. We're now creating a model that's going to be an incubator for a small business that the kids are going to have their hands on. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but we've got a couple of things. We're going to make some trellises and some donated lumber. We're going to take the old fence, chain link, and build some harrows to drag roads with. They have a number of ideas that the kids are working on that are, I believe, innovative, hands-on, and it's just working well. Oh no, 26 seconds, what happened? Okay, Lighthouse Foods donated a bunch of barrels. We made vertical growing in this much space. We can put 30 plants. We're working on maximizing the space that we have. I cannot forgive Mark from Mac Builders. If you think it's hard to get a contractor, try getting one when you're not paying them. Okay? So he came in right next to our kids and helped them build and learn. And we built, okay, I'm gonna go 30 seconds. We built fences. We created beds that are not about environmentalism, but about using less water, because it's so important. We're doing hands-on things, and we've done that with the beauty of this community. I believe as we grapple with growth, that bigger can be better. I believe that the people of this town and village can come together and understand that the most important thing that we all have, are those children. And thank you for giving me the privilege and honor to work with them every single day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I knew I should have typed that speech instead of the heart.
The second on the list here is Faith Brenneman.
Good job, it's a long name.
I was hoping I got it right.
Okay, I'm Faith. I'm here today to ask that when choosing or reviewing curriculum, the board take under serious advisement the idea of including at least one member of the community that regularly comes to the school board meetings. They could be done at random or systematically, but involving those of us who take the time out to show up here rather than only including members of the community who might never have taken the time to attend a school board meeting would, I believe, incentivize more of the community to become involved with the goings-on during these meetings. It's my understanding that a new math curriculum will be chosen in the fall. I don't know where you are in the committee selection process, but do know that many of us here would be thankful to be included in any conversations around that. That local kids are being taught, both in the area of mathematics and beyond. Thank you for taking this into account.
That was all we had signed up for public comments, so we're going to move straight on to a school presentation, Southside Elementary, and we have our principal, TJ Clary, here. Hello, welcome.
Here we go.
And a bunch of Southside fans.
You talking for me or for you? Or our professional development in the school. So, hi, I'm TJ Clary. I am the principal this year at Southside Elementary, and I'm not supposed to ask my staff to stand up and introduce all their names, but I do want you to recognize that most of our staff, almost everybody, made it. I think it's because they're so excited about the work that we're doing this year, and I think they're here to support me and representing them, and they're probably here to make sure I don't screw anything up. So thank you for coming, staff.
Welcome.
Anyway, Southside Elementary, we are all about SOAR, safety, ownership, attitude, and respect. It's kind of the foundation to everything we do. And we started our year off with kind of changing up our mission statement, trying to create a mission statement that really represents what we're all about. And this is kind of a work in progress. We're probably going to make additional changes. It's one of those, as the culture changes, as the students' learning changes, we want to make sure this really represents everything we're about. So we definitely passionately equip the whole student with the foundations needed for their future success. So we're pretty excited about this. It was a fun process going through this and choosing a mission statement with the staff. And go ahead, Kelly. It's been a lot of fun. So we did hit the ground running. It's hard to believe that this year is still the same year that we had COVID restrictions starting our year out. And so it's hard to believe. It's been a lot going on this year. Things seem to be fairly normal now. And we started the fall out with a lot of restrictions and a lack of staffing. It was really hard to, in a small school, to make sure we could cover all the different needs for the students and the learning. And something else that a teacher brought to my attention was something to realize is the stamina of the student learning. The stamina was really, really down. So we had to really work hard to build that up this year. And so it's been a really successful year. We started out with our baseline assessments, and so the MAP data, our Idaho reading indicator, interims, we really just dove right into the data and trying to determine where the students are, what do they need, and then how can we adjust our teaching to be able to better serve them. And then once we get that kind of that bigger data, then we dive in a little bit deeper, and then we do diagnosis of foundational skills, and then we combine that with the past data review and look for patterns with all of our students, and we just jumped right in, and it really is just like starting a race. It's like, okay, let's figure out where they're at. And so the team just kind of rallied together, and by doing that, we reestablished our RTI, our response to intervention, a multi-tiered system of supports. We kind of reestablished that and really let the data determine all of our interventions within the building. So the team was ready to go for that, and it's been very successful in doing that. We also created a strong intervention team through Title I and special education. It was something that was needed, so we started out right there. It was a tangible thing we could adjust early on, so we did that. And we cannot have a presentation about our school without stopping first and thanking our classified staff. Because really, if it wasn't for our classified staff, we could not have operated in our building. We were constantly pulling Title I paras and special education paraprofessionals just to cover things like music and library and all the different areas. And so right here, that's a picture on the left of Miss Brittany, who's sitting in music with the kindergarten class. And the great thing about Southside Elementary is everybody's just willing to jump in, whatever it is. It's all about the kids, and they're always willing to serve at whatever capacity. And then the picture on the right is a picture of my computer at home in October in our first professional development. I had COVID, and so I was stuck at home. I was so excited first year as a principal to do our first professional development. I was stuck there. The teachers had to listen to me talk online, and then there were also 2 other teachers that were stuck at home during that too. So we made the best out of it, and Southside Elementary, they are just always willing to just be flexible and adjust. So, and then also I forgot to mention, also it's our office, it's Miss Kim's first year, and I know I'm not supposed to make a big deal out of you, but she's a big deal. She makes it, my job a lot easier, she makes the teacher's job a lot easier. We do agree teachers, like, we just love Miss Kim, so thank you so much for that. But this picture right here really depicts how Southside Elementary operates. And I'm sure this is year after year, and I get to see it specifically this year, but our professional learning community is all about trust and relationships. And so we started our year out talking about, me being new, talking about what works, what doesn't work, how do we build or keep building the we in our building, and that's gone a long ways. And some of the conversations and work we've done is the teachers were really passionate about having a math vertical alignment discussion, and making sure that what, say, 4th grade specifically is teaching is going to align with what 6th grade is going to be teaching later on. So we had great conversations with that. We talked about clarity with learning targets early on, fidelity with curriculum. At what point are we do we have fidelity with the curriculum, and at what point are we supplementing with other curriculum? Assessments were a really fun conversation. How are we assessing our kids? Are we preparing them for all the different assessments? We have the state offers us interim assessments. How are we utilizing those assessments, both as summative and formative assessments? Are we giving clear feedback after determining where our students are each day with our assessments? And then some of our teachers jumped right in using a program, or I guess it's kind of a program, the 15-day challenge, where they needed more clarity with what they were teaching. And so this was like a platform where they could focus in specifically on the standards that they're teaching, the vocabulary they're using. So that was a great match for them. And then we've had great conversations this year about teacher autonomy. What does that look like? What kind of communication do we have? Because even in a small school, there's always a lack of communication, and so that's gone a long ways this year. What kind of drive do we have? What's driving everything we do? What is our passion? How are we dedicated? If you're going to be part of our team, and we expect everybody to be dedicated, and then just overall relationships. It's a really positive experience working at Southside Elementary, and we just love it. And then, of course, partnering with our CCLC program, the after-school program, has just gone miles, because we're able to take the work that we're doing in the classroom and then add on to that after-school program. It's huge, so we just love that. So, to the next slide, it's all about teamwork. And, I just try to capture just bits and pieces of things we've gone through this year. And that center picture is just one of many things we've done through our PD work, but really trying to focus on what's working. We don't want to lose what is already working, so we focused on that. And then the picture on the left is our 5th and 6th grade teachers with a student teacher working with them. And this is what you would call a formal PLC meeting taking place. But what's great about this specific team is they are constantly in the PLC process in the hallways, constantly trying to adjust their teaching. They are just sharpening each other all of the time, and it's exciting to see it. And then the picture on the right is where our 6th grade students created this chart for our 1st grade students where they can put in math and science when they were doing the Plant the Moon project. So that's been super fun to watch. And then right here on the left is, we're all about Eagles, we're all about school pride. It's a big thing. We got the swag, the teachers are wearing it. It was fun for me to be able to start our year out by kind of redesigning our swag and recreating the school pride. But our kaleidoscope teacher fell in love with Southside so much that we ended up hiring her as a paraprofessional, and without her we would have been lost this year. So she just has a heart for kids. And then on the right-hand side we have the primary team, and I missed the kindergarten teacher, but the primary team was really big on supporting the older students prior to the ISAT testing. And so it was super fun. We had posters all over the school, and we really just built those kids up and got them candy and little cards with sayings on there. And it was just a really positive experience that the whole school kind of bought into. So, the fun we have. This is just a few items of the fun we have. There's no way I can list it all. It's not even possible. It's amazing how much fun we have. But I will name, I want to kind of read these and kind of explain some of them. Buster the Bus, And please ask questions. With the field trips, being a STEM school, STEM certified school, we're able to have additional funding where we can increase our field trips, and some of the teachers are really taking advantage of that, and there's some pretty cool things going on. The sledding, for those of you who have been out in the south side, I always talk about our epic sledding hill. That's been a lot of fun. And football at lunch, I have literally pulled my hamstring probably 4 times this year. One time, like, complete bruise by playing football with 4th, 5th, and 6th grade, so we have to change the rules that the quarterback doesn't have to run anymore. And then infection is it's basically a full playground tag. They have played tag.
I was wondering if that was
Yeah,
related
and
to.
they have so much fun, and I don't get it, but they love it. And it makes playground duty so much easier. Do you remember it? Yeah.
I don't remember, but my stepson talks about it.
Yeah.
I was like, he's not that young.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But it's just, yeah, so there's something about it, they love it. We have cross-country skiing that's going on in our playground in the wintertime, obviously. We had our Eagle Watch cruise that we went on, field trips with geology and rocks, our wax museum I'll talk about later, student-led conferences, that was a success. Our open house was huge. We had a huge triple play fundraiser where the community really rallied and we raised a ton of money. Our buddy reading on Facebook Live was an absolute failure because of technology. It's a long story, but we're gonna do a lot better with that next year. But we had a ton of people online for that. Our Penny Moore Fiddle Camp is coming up next week. That's gonna be a lot of fun. In fact, anybody that wants to come out for Fiddle Camp really should. Parent-teacher conferences, our Coeur d'Alene Tribe Happy Dance with our Idaho history in 4th grade. Math Olympiads are coming up, Birds of Prey are coming up, Water Festival's coming up, and the list just goes on. It is so much fun with the amount of fun that we have at our school. So there's a picture of the Eagle Cruise. We took 2nd and 3rd grade, right? Yeah. I was able to go on this, and that was on Coeur d'Alene Lake. A lot of fun. The students had to actually do an Eagle report before they got to go on the trip, so that was exciting. And there were just eagles everywhere. We all got a cup of hot chocolate. And there's our sledding hill. Doesn't get any better than that in the wintertime. No sleds, they just slide on their snow pants. So that makes it a lot safer for me, so I'm not stressed out the whole time. It's easier to watch, so a lot of fun. All right, and then got to mention our music and PE class. You can see on the left with PE, Ms. Ross got all these cool tubes that made these little roads, and they had to stop and like get a drink of water, and they had stoplights, and that was really exciting for PE. That was a 6th grade, and then of course our music program with band. It took a while to get their instruments, and Ms. Rivero still just kind of persevered through and made sure that the students learned a lot, and they've come a long way. It's been super good. So we're a family. Small school, it's a lot easier to be a family, of course, and it's super exciting. We had, I don't remember if this was a pajama day or I think this was one of our reading days, pajama day. Mrs. Hunt had matching pajamas from her family that a lot of us got to wear, and then this was a student who got a cast to readjust his Achilles attendance, and he was really big about the principal being the first one to sign his cast. And so that's just like one small picture of how we really are a family. We care about every student in every way you could ever possibly dream. So we love it. Holidays, if you don't know, in elementary, holidays are a big deal. Like, it is like a huge deal. So on the left, we have Thanksgiving, that's big. Veterans Day at Southside Elementary specifically is a big deal. We had one veteran grandfather who showed up, and he had these little pins with flags, and he was just so proud of these pins. He passed one out to every student in the building, and he was like running the show. It was really exciting. And then, of course, on the right side is a leprechaun trap. We had leprechauns everywhere in our building. There was tracks, there was traps. Like, I don't know how much learning was going on that week because there was tracks on the walls, on the ceilings, and so there was a lot of engineering and ingenuity going on behind the scenes with these leprechaun traps. And so part of what we also do is we have our 4 critical questions. I know as a board you've heard about that quite a bit. And then the last one is, what do we do with students that already know the standard, or what do we do if they already know it? And so we have Miss Lynette right here in the library. We have the unique opportunity where she's able to take a group of 1st graders and take them to like the next level. They are literally reading at like 5th grade reading level. As 1st graders, they are constantly being stretched and working on these different projects, research projects. They're videoing themselves, and it's absolutely incredible. And then the picture on the right, I just couldn't do this without showing you. This is my granddaughter's, my stepdaughter's daughter. So this is my granddaughter. She was reading to me in the classroom, and so I get to be Principal Poppy, is what they call me out there. And so I had to take a selfie of Tyler reading to me. That was pretty exciting. So, and then the Wax Museum is one of those pretty big events at Southside Elementary. The picture on the left is, we had close to 200 people in our building. which is really close, almost 200 people. And a ton of work goes on behind the scenes to pull this off. And I wish I could show you all the pictures, but this is a sea urchin. It was either some sort of an animal or a famous person. And so what happens is right in front of this student right here, there's a button that says push me. So the parents come by and they push the little button, and then the students have their little script that they either memorize or they read. Really informational, a ton of work that the students put into this, and they all took it serious. And so the parents just go student to student, and we go in different shifts, and they get to be their character or talk about their animal. So that's really good. And I can't not say that it just warms my heart to have the community as part of this. I literally just love it. The more parents we have, the more community. It seems like the more successful the students are. So that goes a long way. So. And then, of course, we're a certified STEM school, and we do STEAM. And I listed a few of the things we're doing, and I can't, I'll mention Miss Lynette here in a moment. With 3D printing, our 3D printers are just going nonstop. I can't believe they're not making smoke right now. They're making so many different items, and I have a few things I want to show you. We're making robots, we have drones flying, plants are being planted, we have coding, music, swamp rock fiddle camp. Students are like making their own music. I don't fully understand all the programs they're using. I'm still learning, but we do have our PBLs, our project-based learning as trimesters. There's a lot of cool things going on with that. And then, of course, STEM summer camp, we are already full. Like, we're already having to put people on the waiting list for that, and I would love to see that grow even more. It's really exciting. And so with our project-based learning, I gotta point out a couple of the details, and I'm sorry my phone doesn't take great pictures, but we have the drone flying right up there. There's a camera on it, obviously the student is holding that, and what you see here is the coding that goes on there, coding how the drone actually flies. It's like blocking maybe. They put in different blocks, predetermined blocks. And we went to a training this last summer. These are 6th graders. We went to a training last summer where they actually will have a chance to decorate their drone and then create an art performance using a drone. So they'll predetermine how it dances or flies, or maybe you get multiple drones. You know, you see the drone things going on. So that's kind of where we're headed, and so that's exciting. There's a 6th grade student who's showing up. He's going to bring his drone. He's got kind of a higher tech drone he's going to bring on, I think he said Friday. So he's excited. He's going to do a full video of our grounds and take some pictures. And cool. So he's excited about that. And then with our project-based learning and the Smart Lab, Miss Lynette, we would be lost if it wasn't for Miss Lynette. The work she puts in, it's absolutely amazing. She is super smart. She is underappreciated. Like, we just think he was never enough for her. She just works so hard. But I walked into the Smart Lab, and this little round looked like a bouncy ball. The student hit the button, and all of a sudden it's doing it's like rolling around through a wireless, I don't know how it works totally, but it's absolutely incredible that 1st graders are doing this. 1st graders get to choose the pattern of this ball rolling around. And so pretty high-tech learning, and they're constantly having to problem solve and determine what's wrong and the adjustments that they can make. And so our Smart Lab, if you want to see it operate, it's going all the time. It's a lot of fun. Cool. And it keeps the students interested in coming to school. It really does. So I just added this on today as we're kind of with our grant money for being a STEM certified school. We have to give them like different pictures and descriptions of what we're doing. And so this is just one piece that I've seen in 6th grade quite a bit with the science on Thursdays or Friday afternoons. You look at this central question based on evidence and scientific explanation. What is energy, and why are some of Earth's energy, mineral, and groundwater resources non-renewable? Wow, like that to me sounds really exciting. And so just a couple of pictures of the amazing things going on in the classroom. And so, yeah, go ahead to the next one, Kelly.
Right.
And then this is just a picture. I had a video. We're not gonna, because I have other things I want to talk about, but there's a video of students who are, these are 1st graders who created a video about their Plant the Moon. They're talking about dependent and independent variables. Like, 1st graders are talking about this. It just blows my mind. And then the percentages and working in groups and having to problem solve, and they've seen what percentage of moon dirt works compared to like earth soil, and it's been a lot of fun watching that. And then for chess, I want to show you, because everybody likes artifacts, I wanted to show you just what our 3D printer has made for chess pieces. This is a final product here, and this is what the 6th graders are doing right now. So it's pretty cool to see what's happening in that Smart Lab. And again, when students want to be at school, they're going to learn a lot higher. They're going to want to be there, and they're going to learn a lot more. So, and then the game cameras, I just want to make mention quickly that for our 4th grade teacher, came up to me, she said, you know, we're a STEM school. Aren't game cameras out in the forest part of science? And I'm like, absolutely. And it's like really interesting for me because growing up around here. So we actually have 2 game cameras set up out on the nature trail behind Southside. And we're trying to get out there once a week. I didn't make it last week, and we're able to look on the screen and determine what kind of game is running around in their own habitat. And then we were able to determine what's the best placement and what's legal, what's illegal, and those kind of conversations, which is great for students to learn at a young age around here. So that kind of talks about that. And so when you take all the fun, all the great things we've done this year, then we get to talk about, okay, what has that done with our data this year, right? Like, how are the students actually learning? Because it can't be all about fun. We have a job, and we want students to learn. So, the beginning of the year, the baseline was absolutely frightening. It was super low, and I'm going to show you some graphs in a moment. And it was triaged early with the RTI and MTSS process, like we talked about. Our interventions began, and I don't want to forget to mention that obviously the work that's going on within the classroom, I don't want to miss that work is absolutely amazing. And the interventions that are going on are supporting them so much that we're seeing huge growth. So I don't want to forget to mention that. But the interventions began, then we reassessed in the winter. It wasn't so bad. We can see that what we're doing is working, so we adjusted. And then we took a moment during this year and we actually celebrated the data because it's super good to focus on the positive. Teachers, they worked so hard at serving the kids that we wanted to stop and celebrate. So that's still a lot of fun. Celebrating with the teachers and with the students. So we continue changing groups, and then our ISAT and IRI data we're starting to celebrate some of those scores coming in, so we'll take a look at that. So in the fall, go ahead, Kelly, we started out in September. This is kindergarten through 3rd grade. You can see this is reading specifically. We're using the state's IRI assessment. You can see red is bad, green is good, and you can see there's a lot of work that needs to be done this year. And so if you go to the next one, you can see as of March, huge change, right? So learning is happening. So whatever we're doing, we want to keep doing. And so the next one is where I have them kind of compared side by side. And you can see, so that's September and then that's March. And so students are learning to read. And that's exciting. That's the work that's happening with this group right here. It's super incredible. So then if you look at the next slide, it's kind of the whole school. Forget about April, all the data wasn't in. But if you look at this, I mean, that's the kind of trend, that's what we're looking for when we're teaching. That is great work of the teachers. So, and the partnership with the students. And so, almost done. So our goal, both in reading and math. So reading, our goal was 54.25% proficient in ELA. I'm sorry, 57. We were at 54.25. Our goal was 57.25. You look down here, our overall ELA right now, and almost all the scores are in.
Nice.
We're 65% for ELA, which, I mean, well done staff, that's super exciting. And we have a third of our scores in for math, so they're still coming in. Last year we were at 39.25, and we're still holding at 68% right now with a third of our scores in.
That's great.
So we're having fun, and students are learning at the same time. That is a success, and we are super excited. So here it is. This is kind of cheesy a little bit, but our custodian took this picture of our playground on Friday.
Yeah.
And at first I want to say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to serve in this capacity. We're having a blast at Southside. And 2 things, you can see there's double rainbows, so I get kind of two cheesy lines. First, students are the treasure at the end of our rainbow. And then our promise to you and to the public is we're going to continue to passionately equip the whole student with the foundations needed for their future success. That's what we're going to keep doing. The rainbow reminds me of the promise, so that's our promise to you. So, did I miss anything, teachers? All right, there's a ton.
Thank you.
Questions?
Are there any questions for teachers?
Question about, do you know roughly, like, percentage-wise, how many of your kiddos are participating in your after-school program?
Second my question. Fred?
I think on the list we have probably close to 30. Anybody can jump in. 25 to 30. Yeah.
Percent or students?
25 to 30 students, and so that would probably equate to about, what was that? It's not 30%, is it? 30. We have 165 total.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So 30, yeah.
Perfect.
Close to
Yeah,
20.
and they're max, like that's full.
Close to 20%.
Great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Are there any other questions? Encouraging and really fun to hear all the exciting things.
Just like to take a moment to thank TJ. It's his first year as principal out there, and he's doing a great job. We do have to work on his enthusiasm a little bit. He needs to get a little more excited. But, you know,
Wake up.
Thank you.
we'll continue. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thanks to your staff.
You're going to have to amp it up. You're the superintendent report next.
Hey,
So
wow.
get going.
Mine's more business-like here. I just had a few things I felt like I needed to talk to the board about, and this will come up here in a little bit, but I do want to let the board know that we have made some administrative changes, and I wanted it in this meeting to relay what those administrative changes are
Thank you,
going
guys.
into next year. For next year, David Miles, who currently is the principal at Sandpoint High School, will be the principal at Lake Pend Oreille High School. Carrie Grenier, who is currently the principal at Sandpoint Middle School, will be taking a role as assistant principal at Sandpoint High School. And Jeff Penrose, who is currently the principal at Lake Pend Oreille High School, will become the principal at Sandpoint Middle School. So at this time, the principal job at Sandpoint High School is open, and we are collecting candidates. So just wanted to give you an update on that. Another kind of exciting change that we're working on, or addition, is we are kind of the impetus from the construction combine and the energy we had there. We are trying to bring back our residential carpentry program, which would be a residential carpentry 1, 2, 3 program. It's a career technical education. This is going to come at no funding for the, well, I shouldn't say that. Most of the funding for the first year is coming from Panhandle Alliance for Education. The cost to the district would be in kind with the crew of our maintenance department in getting the old wood shop back up into condition,
Yeah.
and it's not much, and some adjustments of moving the workshop, or what's in the wood shop into another space, so there's some adjustments there. I do want to publicly put this out that we currently do have a teaching opening posted on Lake Pend Oreille School District's website for residential carpentry, which again, we hope that we can collect some quality candidates. This is a very difficult position to fill. There are ways to do alternate authorizations with that, with people who have industry experience and meet the qualifications to work through the Idaho Career Technical Education steps. So we're hoping that we can get that program off and running with the support of PAFE, Lake Pend Oreille School District, and also the residential carpentry, I guess, fund that was from a previous program many years ago, and resurrecting that. So anyway, just wanted to give you an update on that, and that if you do know of any candidates that would be interested in that, when we have it listed like all our other jobs, and we're hoping to draw some candidates in there. Also, in February, I brought to you a parental rights board policy, and we did not have a first reading on that. We wanted to wait till the legislative session was over to see if there was anything we needed to add to that. After going to the legislative roadshow with the State Department of Education and following the legislative session closely, there was no additional legislative action that would put anything additional to that. So I just want to let you know, to keep you updated, that it's important that we keep moving forward with that board policy, and we'll bring that to the board in June for a first reading. And then we can have discussion there. So that's kind of a few of the updates I wanted to give you on the superintendent report.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I invited our CFO, COO, Lisa Halls, here tonight to do a little last bit of budget discussion. And I put it to you guys if there were any questions you had for Lisa. Before we approve the budget in June, this is sort of our last opportunity. And I know with 2 new board members, I wanted to make sure you had plenty of opportunity to have Lisa here for question and answer. One of the questions I had for Ms. Halls was came up during our law conference, and it was, I'm trying to read it on my phone, and it's super tiny on my phone, but I sent you that message about the teacher, wasn't a bonus fund, it was being called another name. It had come up several times during the law conference, and I texted Lisa asking, okay, can you explain to us what we paid our teachers from that bonus that came from the state?
Good evening. Yes, I can. So you're referring to Senate Bill 1404, which I reported out to you in April.
Yep.
Had passed, and the language in the bill actually calls it a bonus. U.S. Treasury, and therefore Idaho's Treasury, now has requested that school districts call it premium pay.
Yeah.
And this premium pay is funded by Governor Little's ARPA one-time money, a portion of that, so it's one-time money. And we received our allocation in early April. And the content of the bill is for school district employees to receive, again, the bill language, $1,000 a bonus. However, the way that the SDE was instructed to report the FTEs that were qualified, we have more FTEs that we paid out than the SDE calculated. So our premium pay was paid out to any active benefited employee. Benefited employee means you work 20 or more hours a week as of April 1st, 2022. So the SDE calculated we had 440.84 FTEs when we paid out 518.3, so about 77 more FTEs, or 17% than the calculation. So our premium pay worked out to $845 for every active employee benefited as of April 1st, 2022. And the lion's share of that is in the classified category of staff. There are 3 categories: teachers, certified administrators, and classified. And the SDE defines a full-time FTE as 8 hours per day. And many of our classified staff, for example, parapros, work 6 hours a day. That's 60 of those FTE. Our bus drivers work about 41 bus drivers work about 6 hours a day, and this is the big difference.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Does that answer your question?
It does, and it adds some clarity to it that had come up. And then I don't know if there were any other questions. I had asked Lisa Halls for a little more clarity on the chart she gave us several meetings ago. Was it in our April meeting? Or, yeah, it was in the April meeting. And it was on the non-director classified schedule, which was a complicated schedule. It's the one that we has the columns B through I. And just because now I asked you one-on-one, but just to add a little clarity for the public meeting, you were explaining a few things to me about how this structure was designed, that we had a consult, and if you could give a little bit of background on that, that would help.
Right. So the general structure of the classified non-director matrix was established almost 19 years ago. We worked with a compensation consultant, and at that point, it was columns A through I. And A being the least sort of level of tasks and responsibility, and I being the highest level of tasks and responsibility. And a rubric was provided to us by the compensation consultant to slot every job. And there have been jobs added and jobs deleted, more jobs added over almost 2 decades. And originally, moving down a row was 1.875%. And now we are many years into working with the teachers union and having a district goal of all our matrices coalescing around a 3% rung movement. So this matrix, which is before you, has a 3% rung movement, and that's been in place for several years. But other things that have changed from, say, fiscal year 22 to what's proposed for fiscal 23 is the result of a 5-month-long compensation analysis on these positions compared to market. And we found that on the low end, we were, I have to remind myself, about 11%, I'm sorry, on the low end, about 27% below market, and on the high end of the rungs, about 11% below market. So we have worked with the compensation consultant to try to become more competitive to our market. And in the result, which I presented to you in April, is that we eliminated column A altogether and consolidated those positions into column B. And then columns B through G will have a base increase of 14%. Column H will have a base increase of 10%. And column I will have a base increase of 3%. And those individuals, and I believe there are 8 or 9, maybe 10 individuals, will also have the row movement, so that their overall salary increase from fiscal year 22 to 23 would be 6%. But the big takeaway is that we've tried to give the largest increases to the columns on the lower end of the pay scale to begin with, and also to basically push more money into the top 10 rungs so that we can bring in a new hire at $15 an hour, which is B9. 95% of the staff under this proposal would receive on this matrix would receive a 14% increase. And then the other thing to be mindful of is that in column I, where there are many positions in terms of pay that are bumping up against their directors, which are on a separate matrix, and so there has to be a differentiation, just like with the negotiated agreement teacher matrix. There's a differentiation between the matrix where our certified administrators. Does that summarize what you're looking for?
It does, and it just helps to hear it again in that level of detail. Also helps to explain why it was not exactly a even proportion across every column, that you were specifically going off some consultant advice. Those were the two questions I had. I don't know, it may have added a little clarity for you as well, but I don't know if you have other questions, because our goal is to come together in June and approve a budget, and I want to make sure that anything you need to ask Lisa, you have a chance to tonight. And then obviously, like I did one-on-one, there's opportunity to reach out to Lisa at the district office with the specific dial-down questions if you just are like, I know I should know this, but can you answer this question for me? So, does anybody have anything? Making her sit here, come up with one. Got one? I appreciate you coming. Thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Superintendent Albertson and our Learning Director, Andrew Murray.
So I'll ask Andrew Murray, Director of Teaching and Learning, to come up and co-present with me on this. As you saw, what TJ did is he presented to you the data from Southside Elementary. I wanted to give the board a big snapshot of how the whole district has been doing. So if we could go to the next slide. So this is our MAP growth data. And basically this is mathematics. This is grades K through 8. And MAP, if you is a nationally normed test that measures growth, and that's measuring academic progress is what MAP stands for. And the little diamonds is the expected norm, the expected projected growth at each grade level. The bar is where our students performed, okay? And some interesting data here, and we've got just some great successes to celebrate in pockets here, individual schools, individual grade levels, and that's great. But it's interesting in being a math teacher and statistics teacher, when you start taking all of them together and bringing them together, you start to see more trends here. So what we can see is that grade K, 3, almost 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 met or exceeded their expected growth. A little bit in grades 1 and 2, we did not quite meet the expected growth there, and this is for mathematics. We can come back to this, but I'd like to show you the next slide, which is now English language
Can you give
arts
us
or
a
reading.
sense of the diamond grade level norms set by what, national standards, not state?
Yeah, you want to explain what the RIT means?
So the math assessment is based on national norm and a large student sample.
Okay.
So it will control from the average scale score of where our cohort starts and project where they should be by the winter testing period. So we test fall and then again in the winter, because we know state testing occurs in the spring. So
Yeah.
we track this growth pretty closely fall to winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So interesting, then we go to the reading, K8, and you see kind of similar trends. We're seeing something here at first and second grade. I mean, kindergarten students exceeded the expected growth. Same thing with third grade. Fourth grade was right at what was expected. Fifth grade was right there. Sixth, seventh exceeded it. Eighth, was there, exceeded it. So
Yeah.
when we're trying to say, okay, what is the effect here? And I know there's many factors, but I really truly believe when we had to, have a pause in education or disrupt the education, I really think it impacted the students that were in first and second grade more so than others, and that would have, going back into kindergarten or, didn't maybe go to kindergarten, and this is kind of what we're seeing. And this is just, again, not an alarm. I just think it's good data for us to look at. TJ mentioned how his crew looks at students and looks at what support, and when we talk response to intervention, MTSS, and so our teams are rallying around this, and we're going to support these kids, and I expect that we will see those students will be meeting their growth goals in the next 2 to 3 years. We didn't say we were going to be able to do it all in 1 year. But anyway, just interesting trends there. So before we move on, do you have any questions on the math growth data from either math or reading?
I thought math would be the bigger struggle, just if I was going by my intuition.
Yeah. I mean, that's...
But it's,
But, maybe developmentally, I mean, I guess you're more the expert in this area, but developmentally, that key time when kids are learning to read right
Yeah.
there in kindergarten, first grade,
Right.
But, yeah.
So you're saying that the other grades didn't take a hit so much
As
because they
already
already
had a
had
base.
learned the
maybe they
bases
had a
Yeah.
foundational
before.
base. Yeah, and you hate to say there's one reason, but that could be a good hypothesis there,
Yeah.
that they had that foundation there. Yeah. So it's just interesting, once we take all the kids together from the whole district and put them together there, this is the trend line that we're
Do
seeing
you
there.
present these every year? Or are these, because obviously I wasn't here last
Yeah.
year, but do we see these every year?
Yeah, and this again is, we do the map test when students first come in, would you say the first 2 weeks of school?
In September.
In September, and then we do it again in January. Now, we do have data beyond that, but really we want to measure that growth in that first part of the school year. Yeah.
We know, do you guys remember what it looked like last year?
I should have pulled that up.
Yeah,
I-
historically, last year actually was some of our strongest data. Now, it only gave you a written average, so it's a different cohort of kids. So we can certainly share that. So the written average for the fourth graders would be this year's fifth graders. Last year, we met or exceeded our growth projections, I think, in every grade.
It would be good to pull it up,
We-
and
we-
I might even be able to pull it up out of my notes from last year, but maybe.
I'll make a note and get that to the board.
Yeah.
That's a great
It's
question.
really good to look at that cohort data, because then you can actually follow the group
Yeah.
as they progress. Like it's
Maybe,
one-offs are great ways.
maybe.
Wasn't closures in 2019?
It was in March.
March.
20? I mean,
No,
No,
in
fall.
20, in March.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And
it's fall.
Last year,
20.
yellow plan short.
Yeah.
No, we actually were closed from about spring break to the end of the year of 20. And then we had a whole summer, and then they came back
For yellow plan.
for fall, so.
If the trustees would like to see this information really soon, we can get that to you, or if you want to wait, we can do another presentation in June.
Or I'm comfortable if you just share it with Jalen.
Yeah, just email it.
Okay,
Just
okay.
email it to him, because I know I still have it in my notes.
Okay.
So I don't know.
I
that
like
we-
data, this is exciting to me. So
I know.
we may come back in June and do a
He
presentation
may want to
anyway.
anyway.
So,
But-
my last presentation, gotta have data and numbers. in it.
Whatever you want, Tom.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Just kidding. Don't do anything.
All right.
TJ stole the thunder for some of the iStation data that's
Yeah.
coming next. This is
Oh,
our
yeah.
Idaho reading indicator that all schools take in the state of Idaho across K-3, and we wanted to just show you the district average, so you can see these bar graphs for Southside. But again, in September, we really came in, depending at the grade level, with between 40 and 58% of our students scoring proficient on that reading assessment in the fall. Now, that's a computer-based assessment. It's one shot in time, but that was kind of our district snapshot for September. And then we wanted to share the exciting
Great.
news
Yeah.
in April. So state testing is open now in May across our entire state. We monitor every month, though, outside of the state windows. And our excitement is that 3 of our 4 grade levels are at 70% proficient or higher. And we really aim
Yeah.
to get there to meet or exceed 70%. With first grade again trailing just a little bit at 63%. So to your point, those would have been last year's kindergartners who had a shortened day, a yellow plan. But we were so excited to see that growth and wanted the opportunity to say thank you.
Yeah.
There are always many factors behind data, but some of the pieces that our principals and teachers have highlighted in their presentations just talk about having a standards aligned curriculum for elementary reading. So we're thankful to have updated curriculum with the foundational skills piece to support it that's used both in our classrooms and by our Title I staff. We have great synergy all the way up to our special education team. We call it Tier 3, but they have an additional program called Pathways to Reading that they use. So we have a really clear plan for reading across all 3 tiers. We absolutely have a hardworking and dedicated staff. And we really have a PLC culture, that professional learning community or collaboration. You've heard it in every school presentation, but this all hands-on deck approach. So we have classroom-based support, we have small group support, we have additional specialists who support on top of that. And so this data wouldn't happen if it weren't for all those factors. So we want to celebrate, say thank you, and let you know that state testing is open. We are excited to report back when that closes at the end of May, both on our IRI, our Idaho Reading Indicator, and our ISAT state tests, which is math, ELA, and science. So thank you again for your support of powerful teaching and learning.
Any other questions on this? And,
No, that's encouraging.
I think we touched on it. Obviously, we want to see the green grow,
Yep.
but we also want to see that red shrink. That
Yeah.
means that's a strategic reader that is moving at least down into
At least
tier
in-
2. So
yeah.
we're moving them, and so there's a lot of hard work and dedication by the schools out there. So.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew.
Would you be able to send those to, can you send those to
They'll-
me?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I'll make.
Kelly
yep,
will send that.
For
to
sure.
you.
And I think they get posted on the website, don't they?
Pictures of
I think so.
No. Okay, so we have a first reading of policy. What?
Sorry.
Did I
yeah.
skip something?
Nope, you did not.
What was
Sorry.
it? On my
I'm trying to
agenda.
close something, so I've got
We have a
off.
first reading of the of policy 2420, and our federal programs director, Casey McLaughlin, is going to present that to us.
Yes, it will only take a second because this is something we do annually, and this was not, there really were not very many changes. So we met, and annually we meet every year to talk about this policy and we sit down with stakeholders, and we go through this policy and we read through it and we talk about what needs to change or what things that we like about the policy. This year, we really don't have any changes. The one change we have, if you notice, we just have parentheses that says LPOSD. So
I saw that.
just a kind of a rudimentary change there, so everything is just pretty much the same. So that's all.
First reading, there's no action.
job, Casey.
Thank you. That was stressful.
You nailed it.
We wanted to bring a very short report back on our education law conference, just a short recap. Clerk Kelly Fisher and I went, now it was 2 weeks.
April 25th and 26th
25th
in
and
Boise.
26th. Just a few, I'm sorry, I got low blood sugar there for a minute. I had to have a snack. It's a great conference. A lot of intense information, both days from the law groups that presented to us. And I think one of the things I came away with is there is so much legal content that surrounds education of children. Oftentimes, I felt like by the time things hit the school board, the 5 of us, there's already been a lot of people following policy and procedure all along in so many nuanced ways that the education piece of it happens long before it hits us. I appreciate the fact that they put this conference on because it just highlights a whole slew of areas. One of the talks I was going to tell you that I really enjoyed was the lunch session where they reported to us a whole recap of the entire legislative session. They do that every year, and it is a very helpful recap in the sense that it draws your attention to the areas that were wins for school districts and areas that we are hoping to bring things back. So without boring you with all the notes, I always think that is a very informative part. They talked about all sorts of laws surrounding, for example, special education and IEPs and Title IX, and those sorts of things are just good brush-ups all the time. And I'm hoping that in some of our board training that we might be getting, we will hear bits and pieces of these areas. So I don't feel like you guys are going to miss it. I think that when we have a board training coming up in June, you'll hear some of these same topics. So
Yeah, my largest takeaways, of course, what catches my ear and excites me when I go to these things. Yes, I was
Excites.
called a nerd for liking that, but the AG's office, the Attorney General's office, presented on public record law, open meeting law. So those, of course, always interest me. There were quite a few sessions this year on employment law. Funding public school by law, what their requirements are. So from the IEA attorneys and the SDE. So it was just really good. And we do have a binder with all of our notes. So if any of you guys are interested in looking at all their presentations and all the notes, we'd be more than happy to share. So
I will say that it makes me proud to be there with our clerk because she is definitely a knowledgeable person, and actually the most encouraging thing I see is that she tends to know everybody she needs to contact, because there's so many questions flying at any clerk or superintendent or board. The fact that she has all these go-to contacts on who to ask for support or answers, it's encouraging to see. So thank you for being such an awesome clerk.
thank you.
You guys, I encourage anybody to go to it next year if you get the opportunity. So we'll go straight on, and I will hear a motion for consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
It's moved and seconded. It was very dense with all sorts of meetings. Those were all those packed special meetings we had through March. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. We're going on to resolution, and I will turn that over to clerk.
Yes, so you have the resolution 2206 Region 1 Cooperative Agreement for Child Nutrition. So the entire region comes together for better prices for our child nutrition department. So it's, Boundary, West Bonner, our entire region in North Idaho, so that they can purchase at a better price. We are the lead. Our district is the lead in that agreement, so that's why you guys are seeing it as a board. And then our child nutrition director, Bobby Coleman, then shares, of course, that out once our board approves this agreement.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll hear a motion to approve that resolution.
I move that we approve resolution 22-06, the region, or 2022-2023 Region 1 Cooperative Service Agreement.
A second.
It's moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. Thank you. So now we have a discussion on negotiated agreement, the 2022-23 negotiated agreement. And we have our presentation from Superintendent Albertson. We also have Brian here representing the president of the Teachers Association. Every time I say it, I think I'm calling you the wrong title. What's your title officially?
Yeah, President of the Education.
President of the Education Association, and here for questions, to field questions from any of us. So,
Yeah.
negotiated agreement.
So, just for the public's knowledge, we have a very collaborative, interest-based bargaining process where I work with the association very closely all year long, so that when there are issues that come up, we try to resolve them, and if they're not solved by the current negotiated agreement, then we would write an MOU that we would bring to you and put the MOU in place until negotiations happen. 2 board members sit on the negotiation team along with myself and Casey McLaughlin along with the Teachers Association team, and we also work very closely with the CFO on the funding that comes in from the state to look at the compensation piece. And then also, there's other things that drive it as far as on the compensation piece is obviously what the is coming from the state. And then also we have to look at, recruit and retain staff, just like you heard earlier on the classified pay matrix. We could not compete at the $9 to $11 an hour pay for some of those entry-level jobs. So we had to look at that and address that. So with that, I know the board has had a chance to look at the current negotiated agreement, but Mr. Smith is here today to also answer any last-minute questions you may have.
I would just like to say from the board's perspective, thank you to Brian Smith for all the work that goes into this throughout the year, makes the process smooth and efficient, and by the time it comes before the board, we've had a chance to review it, look over everything, and by this point, it's been approved by the Teacher Association, so Education Association. So it's before us tonight for approval. Are there any other questions you have? I know it's been explained in executive session. If there's any other questions you might have. Then I will hear a motion to approve the negotiated agreement for 2022-23.
I make a motion that we approve the 2022-2023 negotiated agreement.
I'll second that.
It's moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion passes. So we're down to announcements, and I don't know if there's...
TJ probably has more to say.
Yeah.
I can say, just it's an exciting time for the end of the school year for a lot of students. This is when we're wrapping up the state exams. The kids look forward to field trips. We do have at the high school level our district tournaments going on, and with hopes of qualifying to compete at the state level in activities. So there's a lot going on in the springtime, and we do have our advanced placement tests coming up here in the next week or two. So for any students that have been taking the College Board AP tests, and those are always high stake and kind of pressure times too. But good luck to those students, and yeah. So it's kind of some of the few things. I could go on and on and on. But
That's right.
Yeah.
Ladies golf.
Yeah.
Ladies golf,
Ladies
Morton
golf.
districts, yes.
Yes, they did.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah, exciting.
I was just gonna ask how are our spring sports doing?
Like I said, they're in districts right now, and some sports are doing very well. Like I said, as Lonnie said, as the girls, the district golf tournament was down for the 4A, was down at University of Idaho course, which is, I'm not a great golfer, nor am I professed to be, and I've probably been on that course once or twice, but it is it's not an easy course. And the Sandpoint High School girls won the district title and will be playing at state. So
Yeah.
you know where state is? I didn't follow that yet.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
And Clark Forks senior on the golf team, senior boy on the golf team, 3rd year in a row he's going to state.
okay,
Oh, good.
nice.
There you go.
Yeah.
I know we have our incoming superintendent here, and I want to thank you, Superintendent Albertson, for working. I know you've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, discussion, transition ideas, and things like that. Lots of meetings going on. Thank you for coming, Dr. Meyer. Do you have any announcements?
No, I'm just thank you to Tom. He has been very helpful, and I've been working every week here just a little bit, trying to not step on Tom's toes and help with but he's been super helpful with the transition. So
Yeah.
just lots of excited to get started.
Yeah, I appreciate the
Absolutely.
collaborative work there. I think with that, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.